People, deluded. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well on this Monday morning. Now, as you lot know, I wake up an hour earlier to get some videos smashed and give you lot some entertainment. It's the international break. Who else is going to provide you lot with some videos? But there's not much to really talk about in regards to Arsenal, but a few details have emerged via, the popular Arsenal sites on Twitter, the Arsenic. Is it Arsenic? Is it LT Arsenal? Is it ZG or ZR? You know them typical Twitter Arsenal encyclopedias, and they're very good for information. Been trolling the timeline as you would, just looking at rumours and just looking at normal things. And in regards to Monchi or him, I want to say U-turn in regards to joining Arsenal, but how close was it as an outsider looking in, going to Seville? Some few details have emerged. In fact, we could talk about a couple stuff. So firstly, we'll talk about that. A couple Spanish outlets have somewhat drawn up a timeline in regards to events. And if you remember, David Ornstein early in the year said that Monchi to Arsenal was as good as done. This kind of correlates because if you look at it, and I've bullet pointed it, or rather I've copied and pasted the bullet points, or inserted bullet points better yet. It says Arsenal began talks with Monchi on February the 9th. That coincides with obviously Mislintat departing and Ornstein saying the club was confident. Negotiations were problematic at first. We offered a very low salary, typical Arsenal in that regards, I guess. Talks progressed like you already thought, and we found a middle ground allegedly. So I'm going to assume a financial package that was attractive to him, because let's be honest, Monchi was allegedly wanted by United, PSG, before he left to join Roma. He's a highly sought after individual, so you've just got to look at it from a jobs market point of view. You got to look at it, people. Typically, this is how the world works. Obviously, it's not as black and white. But if someone's a doctor, not because they're better than anyone else, but they've gone to uni or whatever and studied, so there's less of a talent pool in regards to that skill. I have a lot of builder friends and stuff, so I'm not putting any roles against each other. But a plumber, for example, it's easier to go out there and become a plumber than it is a doctor, for example. So you can see a doctor can command a higher salary. I'm not saying there's not plumbers that don't earn more than doctors, because you can earn anything regardless of what you're doing. But just in regards to the jobs market, do you see what I'm saying? The more you learn, the more you earn, sort of thing. I look at it as services. So if he's obviously he's not the only technical director, scouting sort of person that's able to do this, but he's one of the elite brackets. So with that, if he's sought after by XYZ club, you need to offer him a financial package or some sort of finance, if not necessarily money, to make it attractive. Because obviously he wanted to be drawn with, there was a numerous reason to be attracted to the club. It's Arsenal, new project, all of these sort of things. Emery, fellow countryman, someone he's worked with before. Raul Sanye, get out of a negative situation at Roma. The attraction of London cannot be underestimated, not just for Arsenal, but Spurs, Chelsea, everybody really and truly. So he wanted to do it. He probably thought it was a good thing for his family. So it looked like we had some sort of agreement. Obviously, the whole Roma stuff accelerated things. We were probably looking at it to bring him in at the end of the season. Roma's situation made us kind of have to act fast, sort of thing, and it looked like it would be done. Obviously, the Roma stuff didn't have the best of ones. Maybe he just wants to go back to Seville where he's loved. And then allegedly, all that was missing was his signature. And then even Monchi's closest circle, they saw that his wish to return to Seville was there. Then Arsenal went on to be allegedly, we were very confident and thought that it was in the bag. You know how, in fact, it even says Arsenal were overconfident. And to be honest, you have to ask, is there actually a plan B? Now, on one hand, you'd like to think Arsenal Football Club surrounded with all these accountants, and if it's not footballing individuals or accountancy and finance people, they're skilled individuals with project management, with crisis management. I say crisis lightly because you've got to, if you're headhunting someone and you not get there, you need to know a plan B. I'm going to bring in this person, I'm going to bring in that person. So because of how smart these people typically are, just in the accolades they've achieved in their lifetimes, the amount of expertise they have collectively in different fields, I'm inclined to believe that there's a plan B. But on the other hand, I do think we praise a lot of these individuals, not just at Arsenal, a bit too much. They're not as smart as we think they are. Obviously, they're better at than me, and I'm not saying I can't do their job, but in regards to Arsenal, both off and on the pitch, we have sat here as fans and said certain things are not going the certain way or you're doing things wrong, and because of that, we're going to land here. So it does lead you with cause for concern. I'd like to think I want to say in an ideal world, there's a list of targets. If it wasn't going to be Monchi, it's going to be, obviously it's not Abidal, but Abidal, for example, from Barcelona or XYZ or Overmars or whatever. I'd be inclined to believe there is one. So yeah, man, we were overconfident and had them in the bag. Apparently, he's only informed us very recently that he's decided to turn us down. The club thought we was joking allegedly. He told us at the beginning of last week. And he went on to tell Arsenal that Pepe Castro, the Seville president, has given him everything he's asked for, and therefore he'll be returning home. So yeah, at least he's communicated with Arsenal. He wasn't a coward. He communicated his intentions. I mean, if the man's on top of the carrot of returning home, if he's been promised whatever he's been promised, and he can, I don't want to say there's no pressure, because there is pressure, but if he's been promised stuff, if he's returning home and he's got everything he looks for, then why would you? To be honest, sometimes home is where the heart is, and you can see how Arsenal couldn't get that over the line. Now, on one hand, Arsenal might not be the Arsenal of great or challenging for major stuff, but I believe all of the top six, especially banter aside, I'll always banter Chelsea fans, but Chelsea, United, Arsenal, City nowadays, of course, Liverpool, I'll throw in Spurs as well. I can't not. I did try not to, but these sort of clubs, with the way they're in, regardless of their form, I believe it should be a thing where if I was working there, obviously we need to, special men like this, we need to get things over the line, and it's beyond just the carrot of working for the club, but these are opportunities that don't come calling too many times. So if I was them sort of thing, you'd think firstly, one league's not a word. There's other targets, but I get pursuing a person sort of thing. But it's like, okay, this is Arsenal Football Club, or this is Chelsea or whatever. Like, this is a big club. This is a big club in London. This is a big club in general. This is a top six club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. If you don't want to work here, then can't really be forcing you to do it. We only ask once, sort of thing. So hopefully there are more people interested. I mean, more targets on the list or whatever. So yeah, if Monchi doesn't want to do it, he can't hold a man's hand. But I wish him all the best, man, and hope he does his thing in Seville. On better news, allegedly, well, I'd love for this to happen. Apparently, we want Umtiti from Barcelona, not just us. Man United want him. We wanted him for a while now. Manchester City, I think I saw Chelsea, and just about anyone who can afford him. Now, you can obviously make the links for Arsenal. We've got Raul Sanllehi, who's got links with Barcelona, got a strong French connection. Samuel was actually at Arsenal versus Chelsea earlier in the season. He's a left-footed centre-half, which Arsenal needs. So, of course, it would be the dream people. French, World Cup international, got his best years, or living in his best years. I know he's had an injury-hit season, but got his best footballing years ahead of him, or just entering them now. So it'd be a lovely season, a lovely signing, sorry people, but I can't see it happening. Allegedly Barcelona want to sell him to sign Delight. I can see why. You'd have to raise funds, and they have been doing some big fund spending, but I wouldn't sell Coutinho, but there's rumours of Coutinho leaving, Malcolm, Rakitic, and a couple others. So there are funds that can be raised and keep Umtiti. And if I was Barcelona, to be fair with you, I know they've got a good centre-half in their youth ranks. I think he's from Venezuela or something like that. He looks decent from when I watched Barcelona B, but you've got Lagnet, you've got Delight, it would be a big signing. But if either one gets injured, who plays? I know there's another centre-half, but I can't remember off the top of my head, so I'd want to keep him. Obviously, if you get a big offer, then you've got to do your thing in that regards. But Arsenal, we would need to throw some serious bans, man. I could only, you'd think it's 60 up, and I do think it'd be a good investment of money based in this day and age. But where are we going to get that money from? 1 minute we've got a war chest, 1 minute we don't, and to raise funds, I don't see who we can. Obviously, I can sit here and name several players we could sell to raise funds, but I don't think it will come anywhere close to that. You'd also think if that did happen, that's our whole budget as well. And to be fair, the big one is a centre half. If as much as I want a winger and another centre mid and a couple other areas, if we did leave next summer come in with a top quality centre half, not just him but a top bracket centre half, of course I would feel a bit shortchanged because we didn't make the signings to enable us to push on to the next level. But knowing that I'd have a top centre-half in my side with the improvements of Socrates, at least of this season, and Holding to come back, it would be decent. It won't be perfect, but at least finally we'd have some really decent centre-half options. I don't think Arsenal are ever going to make this one happen. I'd love to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but it's more viable for United, to be fair. And if I was United, I'd go get that one sorted, to be fair with you. Finally, Arsenal, Unai Emery was at Valencia versus Getafe. Obviously, he's a Spaniard. He's got a bit of time off before he gets back in training for Arsenal and stuff. So he took advantage. Whether he was legitimately just being from Spain and just enjoying a football match, which he hasn't had much time to do in his homeland or away from his homeland, just enjoy a football game as a spectator, I don't know. Allegedly, he was scouting Djene. If you lot remember my video about the Getafe centre-half, I like him. He's aggressive. He's front-footed. He is rough around several edges and he isn't perfect. perfect, and it remains to be seen how he would do in the Prem. But I do like him. Allegedly, his release clause is 35 million. Now, if we go based on January and having no money, again, I want a centre half, and I don't necessarily advocate throwing the whole budget on one player. But if it is going to be one area that we throw all areas, it's got to be finally getting some top centre halves for Emery to work with, and things like that. To which I think I'm not saying he's world class. I don't think he is. I think he's rough around several edges, but he's better than quite a few options than what we have. He would complement the ones I would go forward with next season in Socrates, at least for now, because he's 31. Holdings to come back. Mavropanos would be mine. I'd give him some game time. Koscielny, based on this year, he's been doing all right. Monreal, for a year at least, can be used at centre half or used within that option. Then obviously you've got Bielik and Callum Chambers. We don't need to get into it, but you get the point, people. So yeah, you can see the links. It's not the first time we've been linked with him. We was linked with him last summer, and even before Emery came to the club, so was Spurs. Emery's a Spanish man, a La Liga man. He's obviously, and so is his coaching stuff. So obviously, when they're not watching Arsenal, I assume they're watching football globally, and they've got scouting teams globally. But naturally, like Poch, he's not he's Argentinian, but he played in La Liga, so he gravitates towards that. In fact, if you remember, Poch said on the weekends when he gets a chance, he watches that. So you imagine Emery must do the same, and he must. If not, there must be little conversations with his coaching staff here and there. Oh, did you watch the Valladolid game? Did you watch the Betis game? This and that sort of thing. So it makes sense, man. I think he's just going to enjoy a game of football. But who knows, man? Who knows? So yeah, man. Obviously, in regards to Umtiti, you've got Emery. I've just said about Emery, and you've got Monchi. So there's not really much more for me to add on that front, people. But I will say as well, Reece Nelson got around five or so minutes on off the bench from Hoffenheim. I wouldn't say he's back in the Guzman's good books, but at least he's back featuring. Emil Smith-Rowe obviously wasn't involved. He's still nursing his way back from injury, and I get the reasons for the loans, but we're almost in April and he hasn't played. So if he wasn't really fit, what really was the point of loaning him there? Or you'd be inclined to believe he's actually going to stay there for the next season, and this is to help him acclimatise and things like that. Because, I mean, if the man's not fit to play, I'm sure a club like Arsenal or any club would want their... Obviously, we're liaising with their medical staff and in constant dialogue, but you'd like to think you'd want, over your investment, your young investments on your earmarks for the future, you would want to be the ones seeing his recovery or his rehabilitation to full fitness firsthand, sort of thing, people. But they know more than me. I'm just a football fan giving you lot my vids. So on that note, I'm going to keep it moving. People, Deluded, thank you for watching and rocking.